Welcome to part 2 of this 3-part video report. As we saw in part 1, if we keep most of our investments in savings accounts and GICs, our after-tax return will be less than inflation. At that rate, we would not have enough to live on during retirement. Let's look at how most people work with the banks and why the banks love us. The typical scenario is to put your money into a bank account. Of course, the bank doesn't just keep it there, but they lend it out at 10 times what you deposited to get higher returns to their professional money managers who lend that money back to us in various products to generate huge profits for themselves. That's all well and good for the banks, but most people typically end up with low rates of return on their savings accounts that the banks are leveraging to get high levels of returns for their shareholders. On the other hand, that's not how wealthy people work with the banks. They know how to leverage or use the bank's money and put that money to work for them in higher yielding investments. That way, they keep the difference, and they can typically get a tax deduction on the interest for the money that they borrow. That way, everyone wins. Wouldn't you like to learn how to do that? That's one of the strategies NestEggAccelerator.com will teach you. When it comes to investing, a small increase in your rate of return can make a huge difference when compounded over the long term. Albert Einstein came up with something called the Rule of 72 that helps us estimate how long it takes money to double in value. It simply says that if you divide 72 by the rate of return, then the answer will be how long it takes your money to double. For example, at 3% rate of return, your money will double every 24 years. If you start with $20,000 at age 29, then at 77, you will have $80,000, assuming no deductions. At 6%, your money will double every 12 years, and you would have $320,000 at age 77. 4 times as much as 3%. At 9%, when your money doubles every 8 years, the numbers are even more staggering. Your $20,000 would grow to a whopping $1.28 million at age 77. It should be very clear how getting these higher rates will accelerate how fast you can get to your financial goals and increase your cash flow during retirement. However, we need to be smart about it and ensure that we stick to the 2 simple rules of investing. Rule number 1 is to protect your principal. In most mutual funds, there is no guarantee that you wouldn't lose principal. However, at NestEggAccelerator.com, we will show you the other ways than investing in GICs to secure your principal. Rule number 2 is to get a secure and stable return on your investment. You want to be able to beat inflation and grow your money after taxes. Since the average Canadian is only aware of savings accounts and GICs to do that for them, they tend to lose out over the long haul. Where do the wealthy invest? If you study investment patterns of wealthy entities or individuals, you won't find much in GICs or savings accounts. They use other strategies such as mortgages, real estate, and business. Because they take their time to invest in financial education, they are able to reduce the downside risk while getting much higher returns, typically at least 8% per year. That brings us to the end of part 2. In part 3, you will learn how you can become a mortgage lender just like the bank.